Okay. Hi there, and welcome to Taking Charge of Your Health. Today we're going to talk about something that's very close to all our hearts, maintaining our physical activity.
Do you mean it's close to our hearts because it's good for our hearts?
Absolutely. It has huge benefits. But it's also close to our hearts because it's a very natural thing to do. Humans are physical beings. We are designed to be active.
Yeah, but how many of us have turned off that little voice in our head that says, be active?
How often have you heard this? As soon as we get busy, physical activity is the first thing to go out the window.
So this program is all about maintaining the rage, keep exercising, keep active, and enjoy all the health benefits that go with it.
Jonathan Duffy spoke to Tony Stubbs of the National Heart Foundation about what we can all do to get some ticks for our ticker.
Is physical activity important for health?
Well, there's a lot of benefits in terms of health benefits. You can reduce your risk of cardiovascular disease, for diabetes. Some cancers can be prevented as well. And also for people who are older, osteoporosis is an issue. So being active helps with your bone density and other things as well. So it can prevent falls. But I guess we forget a lot of times about one of the wonderful things about physical activity as well. So as well as preventing disease, it also makes us feel a lot better. People sleep a lot better when they do. It can help to, look after your weight if people have issues around that area. And also just a general feeling of more well-being. And a lot of times activity can be done with family and friends, so you obviously feel a lot better about that too.
Tony, is it necessary to be athletic or physically coordinated in order to be healthy?
No, you don't need to be coordinated or active. I mean, that certainly helps, but certainly everyone can be physically active if they want to. And there's certainly a lot of evidence that moderate physical activity is really healthy and a good health benefit for you. So, no, going for a walk or taking the stairs or do anything that you really enjoy, gardening is certainly a lot of activity. You can get a lot of health benefits from that. Yeah, being fit is getting out there and vigorous, huff and puff and going to the gym and doing those sorts of things. And that, for people who want to do that, that's fantastic, and we'd certainly encourage people to do that. But for a lot of people, that's not possible and don't quite enjoy doing that. So what we want to try and do is just to be physically active in any way they can. So find things that they like, to do. Try and do things with friends, and even the most important thing I think is to try and fit it into your normal daily life. So what you want to try and do is think of ways that you can do it, because we're all extremely busy and it's very difficult to find ways for us to be active. So by taking the stairs or getting off the train one stop earlier or getting off the bus one stop earlier. I think walking to the shops is a really good way, and also trying to find things to do with your family. So on weekends you might actually go for a picnic, but you might actually do something active with them as well. So I guess, sit with your family and your partner and your children or even yourself and try and find out ways that you can do it in your normal life, and see how you go with that. Try and pick something that you enjoy. Obviously that you're going to try and do it for a bit longer if you actually enjoy it. Set yourself little goals so that you're actually improving on your activity all the time, and try and do it with friends. It's a lot easier to do it with somebody else than trying to do it by yourself. Maybe you can find a time during the day that actually suits you, that says that's my activity time and I want to get out and go for a walk, say at lunchtime or things like that. And try and do different things, different activities that you quite enjoy. And obviously most people can be moderately active, there's not a problem with that. But if people actually do have some chronic disease or conditions, then maybe they might need to see their GP before they actually engage in it.
It's not like you have to take up marathon running or anything.
Although if you have, that's fantastic.
But being active is really just about having a better quality of life.
How well you sleep after you've had an active day. You've been surfing, you've been skiing, you've played some sport on the weekend, or you've worked in the garden. You know how refreshed you feel when you go back to work the next week.
And it not only increases the length of your life, which I love, and it stops ageing process, which I love even more, but it helps you to absorb your food better and also gives you more energy.
It helps you to be more alert and cope better with stress. And it can lessen depression and anxiety.
That's right. In short, the more you do, the more you get out of life.
So what is it that stops us being active? If the benefits are so obvious, why aren't we keeping moving? Jonathan spoke to Neville Owen.
Neville, what are the common barriers to exercise?
We know people are a lot less active. It's likely that's due to time pressure. It's also due to limited opportunities just to be active as we normally go about our lives. You drive a car instead of walk or ride your bike. You catch an elevator. You use time-saving devices at home. Your recreation is often passive. So between time pressure and technology, being physically active is just dropping out of people's lives. Well, the research we've been doing here and colleagues have been doing in San Diego shows very clearly that if people live in communities that are more walkable, they walk more. If people live in suburban areas where there are no footpaths, where the shops aren't close, so you would normally drive, those people walk a lot less. So in many ways, physical activity, opportunities for it have been designed out of people's lives, depending on cars too much and there being no real functional purpose to walking or riding your bike to do things as you go about your life. And that's a tragedy.
How do we combat these barriers?
There are a lot of practical things people can do. If you really do decide you want to fit more activity into your life, then there's that simple rule of look for the opportunities, think of being active as an opportunity, not an inconvenience. The other important thing is finding opportunities for being active for fitness or recreational purposes. It only needs to be 20 minutes or half an hour. If you can find an hour 3 or 4 times a week, that can be an extremely cost-effective way to be physically active.
What tips do you have to encourage a family to become more active?
For kids in particular, less TV, less video games, less videos and passive entertainment. Kids can have a lot of fun just sitting around. These days, they can get a lot of excitement and enjoy themselves, and the challenge for families is to get kids up and out. The best thing you can do that is to have them actively engaged in sporting activities in the local community. All of our population surveys in Australia show very clearly that adults, mostly what they do is walk. And walking is an easy, enjoyable activity, and it has a lot of health benefits if you can get out and do it regularly. However, people forget there are a lot of really good fun things to do. You get busy, you forget about sport. Sporting opportunities for middle-aged and older adults are a great way to get physically active and to enjoy the social aspects of activity. There's a lot of ways in which people can identify enjoyable, sociable sorts of activities that might have a skill component, and often we forget about that. A lot of the time, good physical activities that are great for our health, you don't even have to think about the health benefits. You go out, once you start doing them, they lock you in socially, they lock you in terms of developing skill, getting a buzz. We get a bit exercisey and earnest about it, but really, physical activity is a natural human thing and it's hugely enjoyable for people who identify stuff that means something to them and is good fun.
Cat.
It's true what Neville said about activity being fun. You don't think of it as exercise.
And when it's sociable, it's even better. You ready?
Yep. So any exercise you do has to be practical and easy to do, something you like that fits your routine.
Exactly. Like, give it back. I'm a runner and I like to run in the morning because it gets it out of the way before all the day's stresses.
Whereas for me, it's my lunch break. It has to work for you. Here, fetch.
There are many myths and misconceptions about exercise, and so much information it's often hard to know just whose advice to take. You may not want to be an elite athlete, I mean, let's face it, not many people are, but just how much exercise should you do? Stephen Blair had some pretty remarkable things to say about just who can benefit from exercise.
Steve, a lot of people feel to get fit, they've got to commit a 30-minute solid block of sweating. Is that true for exercise?
No, I think you can accumulate that 30 minutes. probably should be accumulated in blocks of 8 to 10 minutes. Now then you immediately say, well, what about 4 7-minute sessions? We don't really have the data to know for certain. I think if you get 30 minutes, even if it's in 3-minute blocks, you're better off than sitting that period of time. But we can be pretty confident that 3 10-minute walks or 4 8-minute walks would do the deal.
So what about incidental activity? Does every little bit count?
Truth is, we don't really know. If you're talking about the 4 steps from your desk to the filing cabinet, I doubt that you can total up enough of that to really have much effect on health. But the truth is, we don't really know how small that increment can be. And the incidental activity, as you call it, that people get actually varies widely even across sedentary individuals. There are some sedentary people who are maybe taking 2,000 steps a day, and other people who are also quite sedentary at home, at work, who might be taking 5,000 or 6,000 steps a day, but they've just taken more of those little 30-second or 20-second steps within the office or next door. We don't have any information to suggest that that number of steps taken in that way are really beneficial to health. So that's why I said 8 to 10 minutes of activity, accumulate the steps over that period of time. We can be pretty sure that's useful.
A lot of people are wearing those step counters, I see. Are they a good measurement for people's activity?
Yes, I think it's an excellent way to monitor what you're doing, to help set a goal for where you'd like to be, and then to monitor your progress toward the goal. And if you're not meeting the goal, then we encourage people to do some problem solving. Why? What got in the way? Why weren't you able to get that third 10-minute walk, let us say? And then develop some problem solving strategy to work around that. But no, these are excellent devices.
Is there an optimal time of day when people should be doing this, or does it not matter so much when people exercise?
I think it should be sometime within the 24-hour period. No optimal time of day. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter from the physiological health perspective. It may matter from a behavioral perspective. For example, if your day just gets crammed full of activities, work activities, and you can find no time, then maybe for you the best time would be early in the morning, so you get it before you actually go to work. Others like to break up the day. I like to exercise at lunchtime, in the middle of the day. Finds it refreshes me for the afternoon. Other people like to wait to the end of the day. So I think it's a matter of personal preference, but there's no real physiological or medical reason why one time of the day is better than another.
A lot of people maybe put off exercising in the middle of the day because their perception is they're going to get hot and sweaty. Do you actually have to go that hard at lunchtime? Is a casual walk as good as, say, a brisk run at lunchtime?
Well, now we're up to defining terms. You know, what is a casual walk? Now, you take a healthy, young, or middle-aged person. If casual walk means strolling along at 1.5 miles to 2 miles an hour, that may be below the threshold that will really prompt much physiologic adaptation and much health benefit. We like to use the term brisk walk, which we would say is 3 to 4 miles an hour, 15 to 20 minutes per mile. And that gets you most of the health benefit of exercise. Exercising at that intensity, 30 minutes a day, you get most of the benefit from that dose if you repeat that day after day. So you don't have to get hot and sweaty, although in 2 months' time now here in Dallas, standing outside will get you hot and sweaty, but you really don't have to work at a vigorous level.
And what if I, say, have gained a little bit of weight and I feel that exercise is uncomfortable? Is there a level that I should be starting at?
It's still the same. If you're sedentary, 30 minutes a day, 3 10-minute walks a day will get you that healthful dose of exercise, whether you're skinny or whether you're overweight or, in fact, obese. Our research also shows that if you are obese and you get that dose of exercise, your risk from cardiovascular disease, from diabetes, from early mortality is very drastically reduced. You don't have to be thin to get the benefits of exercise. And in fact, being thin doesn't give you the benefits of exercise unless you actually exercise.
Right. So I guess ultimately, if I can accumulate the 30 minutes of activity a day, then that's good enough for me to experience heart health and well-being?
Yes, important health benefits from 30 minutes a day, and do that essentially every day. Now, in our data, the person who exercises that amount, we see about a 50% reduction in mortality risk, about a 50% reduction in the risk of developing diabetes or hypertension. Those who do more, and let's say put in a couple of days a week of jogging or more strenuous sports, and get in our high fit category, we see another 10 or 15% reduction in risk. So that's why I say you get most of the health benefits of exercise from this accumulating 30 minutes most days of the week. But you can get a little more if you press on a little harder.
I'm really getting into this. Stephen Blair's research shows that by accumulating just 30 minutes of exercise a day, we can all reduce our mortality risk and the risk of lifestyle diseases by 50%. Now, I find that truly empowering, because what it says to me, Joe Blow, ordinary citizen, is that I can make a big difference to my health just by doing 30 minutes of exercise a day, whether it's 3 lots of 10 minutes or 4 lots of 8. And if it's fun at the same time, even better. Our next guest is Darren Morton, who has some tips for us on how to train smart. If we understand how the body works, we can get the most out of what we do.
As we're aware, the World Health Organisation recommend that we try and incorporate into our day, and it can be even broken up, but those 30 minutes of activity. However, really that has stemmed, I think, from a knowledge of all of the disease states that we have in our society that are related to inactivity. You know, things like coronary heart disease. And so that's, in my mind, the 30-minute initiative is really an attempt to try and combat, a defensive attempt to try and combat the incidence of these diseases. However, if you want to experience all the health and the vitality that you deserve, you really need to be embarking upon a regular exercise program. There are 3 foundations to any exercise program. They're overload, progression, and recovery. And essentially they encapsulate what you need to do in order to achieve good results with an exercise program. Overload just refers to the idea that your body is a dynamic entity, and when you challenge it, or you place stresses upon it, as long as it has the right resources available to it, it will adapt and get better. And that's why when you pick up some weights and you make the muscle burn a little bit, the muscle in effect goes, oh, that was a bit of a challenge, I'm going to be better prepared for next time. And so by overloading your system, that's the concept here, by challenging your system, it actually adapts and gets better. And that's effectively what we want to achieve with a training program. So overload is important. The second principle is progression. And essentially, if you place a certain amount of overload or always pick up the same weight, it challenges the body in the early days, but then eventually you get to the point where the body is adapted and is no longer challenged by it. And so in order to continue to get improved results, you need to progress the type of training that you do. And that doesn't necessarily mean going further and further and further. Say with walking, for example, it might mean perhaps taking a different course, and perhaps taking a course that has some hills in it, or perhaps even putting some jogging steps. So there's a variety of different things you can do. Those 2 principles coupled together are often referred to as progressive overload, and they are really foundational. And it explains too why I often have people come to me and they say, I started my exercise program, I have noticed great results in the early stages, and now it seems to I've just sort of become stale, I've plateaued out. And when you ask them about what they do the same thing day in, day out. Obviously the body is being challenged early on, it's adapted, it doesn't need to adapt any further. So overload and progression are the first 2 principles. The last one is very important, and people often neglect this, and that is the principle of recovery. Essentially those adaptations, your body gets better during recovery periods, and so having adequate recovery is of paramount importance to getting good results out of a training program. And it's for that reason why we say people shouldn't do weight exercises, for example, day after day. You need at least a day in between so that your body can recover and adapt and get better. Every day, being active in some way, seizing those opportunities to be active throughout the day is a great thing. But if you really want to embrace, all the vitality that you can experience, then the regular exercise program can certainly help you achieve that. And to my mind, probably the best way to construct a well-rounded program is to endeavour to do 3 what we refer to as aerobic exercise sessions per week. And aerobic just means with oxygen. So in other words, these are the sorts of activities that just get your heart rate up slightly and breathing a little bit more deeply. Things like the swimming and the walking and cycling. And in addition to that, get into some basic weight exercises. And these are very effective for all sorts of things like increasing your bone density and increasing muscle tone. And in fact, later we'll be going through and demonstrating some basic exercises that you can do at home.
Okay, crew, it's time to get physical. Here's a series of exercises devised by Darren Morton that you can do in the comfort of your own home. So you don't have to worry about driving to the gym, all that stress. These are exercises you can do maybe with your kids in the lounge room or maybe in your PJs in the morning. It's all up to you.
What I'm about to show you is some very simple weight exercises that you can do in your own home, and that you only need some simple hand weights that you can purchase from any sports store to execute. What I want to say before we look at the exercises though is that anyone and everyone can benefit from weight exercises, regardless of your age and regardless of your gender. For the ladies out there who are concerned that think they're going to get big and bulky, don't stress. The way that we've structured this, we're keeping the repetitions higher and the weights lighter, it's not a valid concern. What I do want to say is that some of the benefits of regularly doing some weight exercises include increasing your bone strength, increasing your muscle strength, decreasing the injuries you experience, improving your posture, so there's lots of them, and also, which is typically of great interest, is you can actually help you decrease your body fat, because when you tone your muscles, you burn more energy. So with that said, let's have a look at the exercises. Obviously, before you do any sorts of exercise, it's important that you do a warm-up. And so Wendy, who's going to help me demonstrate these exercises, has just done a warm-up, which may involve just walking around for 5 or 10 minutes and some simple stretches. Our first exercise, let's move to it, is the push-up. Taking position on the floor. This is the most advanced form of the push-up, supporting your weight on your toes and your hands, keeping your back straight, going up and down. If you find that quite challenging, what you can do is just drop to your knees. Once again, keeping your back straight, up and down, and there you have the modified version of a push-up. Works your chest and the back of your arms. Thank you, Wendy. Another version of that, which is easier again, is to actually use the arm of a couch or a kitchen bench, in which you can go down, and as you get more progressive, you can move then down to the floor. That's exercise number 1. Our next exercise, I'm going to use the hand weights that I've got from my sports store. This is called a shoulder raise. Works the shoulder muscles. Starting position with your feet level, keeping your back straight and upright, just bringing your arms out to the side. You only need to go to shoulder height here, and if you keep your palms facing down, that's the best technique. Exercise number 3 is the bent over row, and we're going to use a standard kitchen chair to do this. Your one knee and the same hand go on the corners there. We're going to need a hand weight for this exercise. And the technique is just to allow your arm to slump down low and then pulling up to your armpit. And this exercise works your upper back, which gets a lot of tension, particularly in office workers, and also the bicep muscles as well. Whilst we've got the weights in one hand, let's grab the other weight in the other hand. And we're going to work the biceps once again. Starting position is one up and the other down, and you just alternate that. What you don't want to do is swing the weights. Keep your elbows fixed in position, and this exercise works your biceps. Okay, if we place the weights down now, thanks Wendy, we're going to use our chair again. This time, have a seat on the chair, on the edge of it, hands either side, and just take a step out. This exercise is going to work our triceps, the back of our arms, and all you need to do is lower yourself down and then back up. Obviously, the lower you go, the more advanced. And also another way of making it more challenging is to take a step further out. But to start with, as Wendy was just demonstrating, is sufficient. Okay, we've worked our upper body, we're moving down. This is an abdominal exercise. If you can take a position on the floor, this is what we refer to as a cruncher, or also known as a sit-up. The important thing here is that you make sure you get an adequate bend in your knee, and this 90-degree bend in your knee, and bend in your hips. If you don't have that, it can actually place stress on your lower back. Hands on your knees, in the front of your thighs there. All you need to do to work your abdominal muscles is just roll your fingers over your knees. Your shoulders only have to come off the ground. That's as high as you need to go, and that is an adequate abdominal exercise. Thank you, Wendy. Up. All right, so we've worked to here. Now we're going to do an exercise which targets the front of our thighs as well as our buttocks. This is called a lunge exercise. All you need to do, hand on the hips, take a large step forward and then drop that knee towards the ground. Change legs. Very nice. As I said, thigh and buttocks. Whilst those areas are warmed up, we're now going to do our second last exercise, which is referred to as a squat. What you need is your feet just a comfortable distance apart. You can place your hands across your chest this time and just squatting down. Don't bend your knee any more than about 90 degrees. And so there's some good techniques. The important thing is back straight and upright, and the other very important thing with a squat is that your knee should pass over your toe as you look down. Don't let your knees collapse in. If you can just demonstrate that, Wendy. That's poor technique, okay? We need to make sure our knees go over our toes. And now to our final exercise. We're going to employ the services of a humble Yellow Pages. If you can just take a position with the ball of the feet on the edge of the book, supporting yourself just to keep balance, and then just raising up and down, and you'll feel this targeting the calf muscles. To make it more challenging, you can just take the weight on one leg and then repeat the exercise. Obviously you need to alternate here to get some balance. And there you have it. That is our simple exercise program you can do in your own home. The way that we've structured that is that with those 9 exercises, you would do 10 repetitions for the first one before moving to the next one. And then as you become more advanced, you can actually do 10 repetitions of an exercise, repeat that exercise, do another 10 repetitions after about a 60-second rest before moving to the next exercise. And over time, as you become more advanced, you could repeat each exercise 3 times before moving to the next one, 10 repetitions each time. And if you were to do that a couple of times a week, you've effectively got a complete body workout and your body will love you for it.
Alan, have you seen the television remote?
Aha! For your own good, I've hidden it.
What for? What, to get me outside and more physical?
Exactly.
Well, look, while I appreciate the support and stuff, but
you'll thank me for it. I know you look pretty fit and healthy and everything, but I'm just worried about your motivation to stay fit. So I've put temptation out of harm's way.
Well, you know what? I think you need to listen to what Beverly Till has to say about looking after your own exercise regime.
Starting an exercise program or putting exercise into your life can be an easy thing. Keeping it there, well, that is the difficult thing. And let's talk about that for a moment. Let's look at the motivation for why you've started the exercise program. Is it something that you have chosen to do, or is it something that somebody else has suggested that maybe you should do? So have a look at that reason and make it yours. Choose something that you can gain benefit from and own the motivation for doing the exercise in the first place. Then look at what you want to do and in what environment would suit you. Choose something that is very comfortable for you to do. We're here in a gym today, and that's great, and that's something that I choose to do. But not everybody likes the gym. There are lots of things that you can choose, and it doesn't have to be a set exercise program per se. Swimming, cycling, playing tennis, all those outdoor things can do it just as well. So choose something that is comfortable for you. Make it easy for yourself as well. Ignore the time constraints. We all have problems with fitting it into our time frame. So maybe look at the location of where it is. Make sure that you can get there fairly easily in a time that suits you with a group of friends, and that may help you. Then just gather around yourself as much motivation and as much support as you can. I've chosen to work with a personal trainer because I know I need a lot of motivation. But work with a group of people if you need that support who are also motivated and who can encourage you to keep going. Or if you like to exercise on your own, and a lot of people do, walking for instance, nice and quiet and solitary, and you need the time out, then there are places where you can look to for support and encouragement on the net or other groups and other people who are doing the same sort of thing that you are. Get in touch with them and get somebody to help you, to motivate you, to encourage you and give you that support. And I think you'll find that a little bit easier to help you keep going. Another thing is maybe set yourself some goals. If you like to achieve and get that sense of achievement, then a bit of goal setting in with your exercise program is probably a good thing for you to do. I like to know that I can row a little bit further on the rowing machine this week than I could, say, 6 months ago, or the weights that I lift are a little heavier. Maybe you can swim a little further. And if you do that, and if you can achieve those things and you set those goals, when you do achieve them, give yourself the biggest pat on the back. We are so used to being hard on ourselves and being very critical. So when you've achieved something, it's okay to say, that was fantastic and I've achieved this, and really give yourself a bit of support. It takes about 8 to 12 weeks to establish a habit, and once you've established that habit, you will then find that your motivation for doing the exercise has probably changed. I know it did with me. It changed. I still had the same reasons at the beginning. They didn't go away, but I added to them. I now have a sense of vitality. I have a sense of achievement, doing something that I set out to do and achieving that, and not feeling guilty about not doing something I knew I should be doing. But I also now have loads of more energy that allows me to keep going during the day and just getting through the day, whatever each day brings, but also the energy to maintain and live my life the way I want to live it, and that is just fantastic.
See, Alan, I choose what exercise I do. You can't decide for me.
OK, I'm sorry, fair enough. But why are you watching TV in the middle of the day anyway? Oh, I see. Well, I guess I can't really say much about you, can I?
No.
OK, moving right along, let's hear from Deb Hurdle of Sport and Recreation New Zealand on the importance of making regular activity part of your lifestyle.
Deb, does exercise always have to be taken in a formal way?
No, not at all, Jonathan. In fact, I'd rather you actually talked about physical activity rather than exercise. What we've found is that a lot of people are turned off by the concept of exercise. They think of all those hot, sweaty bodies in a gym, you know, looking fantastic in their lycra-clad outfits, and it really turns a lot of people off. So we're really talking about physical activity in its wider sense. So getting out, going walking, taking your kids out, playing a game, knocking a soccer ball around in a paddock with them, being physically active in every day of your life, every part of your life. So if you're working in an office, you know, rather than sending those emails to someone around the other side of the office, get up and walk around there with a bit of paper and actually talk to them. Good for you socially, it's also good for your, you know, keeping your physical activity up. One of the things we've tried doing is we give people pedometers in our office, and we always have a bit of a challenge. People come around and say, you know, how many steps have you done today? So it's a really good way to get people physically active. Any form of physical activity will give us health benefits. And obviously the more you can do, the better it is for you. But you don't have to be involved in formal activity or strong exercise. We talk about snacktivity, being little chunks of activity that you do in your day. So if you can do 10-minute bites of activity at any time, then that's going to give you real health benefits.
What sort of activities could we do on a weekend?
Well, you're standing here at the waterfront, you can see people wandering past. There's lots of things you can do. Get out with the family, take the kids out, you know, pick up Gran and take her out for a bit of a stroll. You don't need to be particularly fit and healthy to do that. You can start at any time. You know, as long as you've got sensible shoes that you can get out there and do things. And it's really good to involve other members of the family. If you've got a dog, be kind to your dog. You know, actually take them out there and give them a bit of run around. You don't have to be involved in traditional sports. And in fact, I think the trend internationally is that people are moving away from traditional sports and activities. The commitments of 7-day working weeks and single-parent families mean that people don't have the time to commit to turning up to a game every Saturday. They don't have the time to put into practices during the week. And so more and more people are getting out. Young kids love getting out on skateboards. Lots of people seem to be turning to surfing, getting out there, boogie boarding if you're near the sea. Just getting out and generally having fun and being active.
Should we keep physically active as we get older?
It's something that we should continue right through old age. You're never too old to start being physically active, and I think that's something that a lot of people need to understand. Just because they've had many years of inactivity, it doesn't mean that they shouldn't actually pick something up and try doing it. And particularly for women with osteoporosis, it's really good if you can get out there and do some weight-bearing physical activity, going for walks, but any sort of activity will actually help them. It'll give them, it's good in terms of fall prevention, because that's an issue obviously as they get older, their bones get more brittle, they lose their stability. So any sort of activity that gets them out there and helps with that stability and balance will be beneficial to them.
Oh, you beat me again.
Today we've been practicing what we preach.
And although you've been brushing me all day,
It's been great fun and good for my health.
you know, lots of us defeat ourselves before we've even begun by taking on too much too soon. So instead of, say, going on a 10K run like you would, maybe just have a 10-minute walk and then build up from there.
Make a commitment, no matter how big or small. Get some support and don't forget to reward yourself when you reach your aim.
As we know from today's program, we could all use about 30 minutes of exercise every day as recommended by the World Health Organization. Now, this exercise will prevent disease and help keep our energy levels up, because you'll need them in the next game, and give us more vitality.
And don't forget, all the little bits add up. So get off the bus or stop early. Take the stairs. See if you can work out ways to get more activity into your life. It all adds up to a healthier life.
Sure does. Well, that's it for this program. Thanks for joining us again.
Keep active. One more.
Oh,
Come on, I'll play
left-handed.
left-handed. Yes.